What's up guys, AJ here. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to earn $100,000 a year as a real estate agent. Now my first year in real estate, I only sold 6 houses. I definitely did not earn $100,000. However, what I learned propelled me onto my second year to sell over 36 houses to make over $100,000, and I've never looked back since. In fact, by the end of my first year as a real estate agent, I had over 20 listings in my listing inventory. And what I learned is that you really need to have a focus, and there are certain steps that you can follow to propel you to earning $100,000 a year. So let's get started. Step 1. The first thing you need to do is reverse engineer your goal. Work backwards, begin with the end in mind, right? So let's say your goal is $100,000 a year in net income. You first need to figure out what your expenses are. So you're gonna have different expenses like marketing, MLS fees, brokerage costs. You need to add those all to the $100,000 income goal that you have. So let's just say you have a cap, that's the amount of money that you'll pay your brokerage, and then you'll be capped of $16,000. Well, you need to add that to the 100, so that's $116,000 that you need to earn in commissions. Then you need to add in your MLS fees, maybe some listing photography, maybe your cell phone bill. Just right now, make a list of all the expenses that you have in your real estate business and add that to the $100,000. So let's just say you come up with $25,000 in expenses. Well, now you have $100,000 plus the $25,000, that's $125,000 total commissions that you need to earn to net $100,000. And let's just say you have a great average sales price and your average commission is $10,000, then $125,000 divided by $10,000 of commission, your average commission, is 12 and a half houses you would need to sell every single year to earn $100,000 as a real estate agent. And this can really, work to your benefit if the number that you come up with is, say, 30 homes that you need to sell because you have a really low average sales price. Think about what can you do to increase your average commission. Can you maybe move to a higher priced part of town? Could you even move states? Or could you just start working in a higher priced market where you currently live? I would challenge any agent to start raising your commissions or moving to a higher priced area in order to sell less houses. Now, step 2 is identifying your business sources. Where are these deals going to come from? So using the example of having to sell 13 homes a year, right? 12 and a half, so we'll round that up to 13. Say you have to sell 13 homes a year. Where are you gonna get those deals? If you just start with no focus, you're certainly not gonna hit your goals. That was my biggest mistake as a first-year agent, was not having a clear focus on where my business was coming from. I was being taught by my local office all these different things on how to lead generate, but no one ever told me, AJ, you need to have a clear focus. You need to go after 1 or 2 business pillars. Because if you don't have that focus, you're really just gonna take your efforts and spread them all over the place. It's kind of like throwing spaghetti at a wall, right? And seeing what sticks. That does not work in sales. So what I want you to do right now is to pick a couple pillars of business. I started off trying to generate leads on Craigslist. I was doing open houses. I was going to networking events. I was calling sellers, expires for sale by owners, just listed, just sold. I was doing all these different things. I probably was focused on 6 or 8 different things, and none of them got me the results I wanted because I didn't become an expert in any one of them. So what I did identify my first year, about halfway through, was that I wanted to focus on 2 things. Those were going to be expired listings and for sale by owners. Because I had recently moved to North Carolina and I didn't have a sphere. I didn't know anybody. So I had to identify the quickest way for me to get a paycheck for the least amount of money because I was putting everything on credit cards. I needed to get a paycheck soon. So for me, that was expires and for sale by owners because those are the quickest and cheapest ways to a commission check. So identify what those are for you and just pick 1 or 2. So maybe you're in a market where you grew up and you have a great network, you have a great sphere. So maybe out of those 13 deals, 7 will come from your circle of influence, your sphere. Well, where are those other 6 deals going to come from? You need to figure that out. If you want to focus on listings, which I highly recommend, maybe it's expires and for sale by owners. Those are the best 2 business sources for when focusing on sellers. You could have, say, 4 transactions coming from expireds and maybe 2 from for sale by owners. And the other 7, right, are coming from your sphere. So you're going to need to put a sphere marketing plan together because trust me, your friends, your family, they're not just gonna call you out of the blue to help them buy or sell a home or to refer you to somebody. You need to make sure that you're staying top of mind awareness at all times. So there's a marketing calendar that you're going to want to put together of all your touch points. How many times are you gonna call them? Text them? Are you going to do VIP parties, VIP giveaways, a direct mail campaign? You always want to be coming from a place of value, so it's really helpful when you're reaching out to your sphere, your friends, your family, and you're offering value. It can be super simple and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money at all. You need to get creative with it. That's what I really prided myself on with my business, and eventually, just moving to North Carolina a couple years later, half of our 80 to 90 homes a year that we were selling were coming from our sphere. So now that you reverse engineered your income goal, you've identified the business sources that you need to hit your goal. Well, step 3 is preparation. You need to figure out what you need to be successful when pursuing these business sources. So right off the bat, it's going to be scripts. Now, I know a lot of agents do not want to use scripts, and it's because they don't understand scripts. They think that it's really just this pre-canned response to what somebody says that's maybe manipulating the prospect or making you feel like a robot. But the correct way to look at scripts is simply as an outline of the sales conversation. The fact of the matter is, everyone has a script. It's whether or not yours is effective. So when you're practicing scripts that are proven to work, they become your own. You internalize them and they become your personal dialogue. They become you, and you become more effective in the conversations that you're having with prospects. And it's very natural, and it gives you the confidence that you need to go out and take listings and to close buyers. You're also going to need a CRM system. This is your contact relationship management system. This is where you're going to be putting all your clients, all your leads. This is where you're going to be taking your buyers and getting them set up on searches. You absolutely need to have a CRM system in place. And third, if you're calling sellers, you're going to need some kind of dialer system. This is going to help you work efficiently. It's been said by Abraham Lincoln that if he had like 7 hours to chop down a tree or whatever it is, he would spend the first 6 sharpening his axe. So it's the preparation, it's working efficiently, not just harder. And lastly, you need a data provider. You need a company that's going to provide you with the expired phone numbers and data, the for sale by owners. And you want a provider that's going to allow you to go back years and years into the past to also have that expired data, because that's a great source of business. Because if you're spending all the time yourself trying to look up the phone numbers, it's going to take you hours and hours of research trying to pull this data together. And by the time you actually go to make the phone call, you're going to be so tired, or other people are going to have beat you to it. So you want a great data provider, and I recommend RedX. You can find a link in the description, and you'll actually save $150 by using that link. Step 4 is practice. In real estate, we have this amazing opportunity as agents to make hundreds of thousands of dollars per year selling houses. However, we never take the time to practice. We never take the time to get better at our skill set to sell more houses. Think about an NFL player, or an NBA player, or even an actor, or maybe even like an entertainer, like a singer. Like, how much time do they spend on the songs, on the plays, on the script for the movie? Hours and hours and hours, practicing every little detail. However, in real estate, we get our license and we just show up and think we deserve business from people. You need to have a strong skill set, so when you're meeting with them, you're instilling a vote of confidence inside the prospect to want to use you. Because if you're not practicing your scripts and your dialogues and your confidence, you're never going to sell real estate at a high level. One of the #1 things that I did my first year in real estate was getting a role play partner. I actually had a couple of them. So every single morning before I was on the phones calling sellers, I had a chance to role play. So this is how it would look. I would role play my script. They would provide me with feedback, something that I could work on, something that I did well. I always wanted to know how was my rate of speech, because I have a tendency maybe to talk too fast, or sometimes I wanted to know my tonality, because sometimes I can have a tendency to be monotone. You provided feedback around those different metrics. Then outside of having a role play partner, what you want to do is practice your scripts on your own. I also found it very effective to read them out loud as fast as I could. Some people call that chanting your scripts. And also I found it very, very effective to actually write them out. I would write out my entire listing presentation, my entire expired prospecting script, because what you're always trying to do is take these scripts and internalize them so that they come out natural and that you gain confidence. I can promise you, if you don't have the confidence in lead generating, the confidence in prospecting, you're not going to do it. And you're going to wonder why you hate calling. You're going to wonder why you just can't force yourself to do it. Maybe you're there right now. Maybe you have all these great intentions. You have this calendar and you have it all time blocked. But when it's time to actually do the work, you find something else to do. But you want to do the right thing for you and your family. And you're going to do the right thing, and you're going to keep those little promises to yourself of prospecting by gaining confidence. And you gain confidence by practicing your skills. This is the preparation phase. So last but not least is step 5, taking action. None of these tips that I've talked about today are going to work if you don't take action. Obviously, right? What's interesting is I discovered that learning can become a form of procrastination. Watching YouTube videos all day, getting these Facebook groups, looking for tips. It's truly become a form of procrastination because in this world that we live in, information is just so readily available. So make sure that you're taking action on what you're learning before learning. It's take action, learn, take action, learn, take action, learn. That's what I want you to focus on. The best thing you can do is set yourself a prospecting goal of 2 to 3 hours a day. And in those 2 to 3 hours, you want to be making about 8 to 10 contacts per hour. If you're making less than that, then you're doing something wrong because you want to be working efficiently this entire time. So if you're only making 2 contacts per hour, well, that's only 4 to 6 per day, right? And then after a couple weeks, you're going to wonder why you haven't gone on any listing appointments or taken any listings. It's because you think you're working efficiently, you think you're being productive, but there's a couple little things that are missing that are causing you to work inefficiently. So make sure you're always tweaking and always getting 8 to 10 contacts per hour. Once that goal's set, then you figure out your daily operating method. You figure out exactly what you need to do on a daily basis to accomplish your goals. If you're a brand new agent, there's no reason why you shouldn't be prospecting 4 to 6 hours a day. You have nothing else to do. You don't have any buyers you're working with. You don't have any sellers you're working with. You're not trying to close any deals because you don't have any deals. So you should be on the phones 4 to 6 hours a day. And outside of that, you should be practicing. You should be preparing. You should be working on getting back to all the leads that you're getting, sending out the emails, sending out the thank you cards. It's absolutely crucial that you know your numbers. How many contacts do you need to make in order to have a sale? As a new agent, I would expect about 200 contacts for a sale. When calling expires for sell by owners, it's about 100 contacts to set an appointment when you're brand new. If you're a little bit better, maybe it's 50. But as you're doing this, make sure you're documenting all your contacts so you know how many contacts it takes to get an appointment, how many contacts it takes to take a listing, how many contacts it takes to have a sale. If you don't have your numbers, just start with mine, and maybe after a couple of weeks you'll know your true numbers, but just start with 100 contacts per appointment. I find that it's important to have proper expectations, so when maybe you make those first 30 contacts and you don't have a listing, you know to keep going because the gold's just on the other side. Don't stop 3 feet from the gold. I love that saying. I know for me personally, as I got better, it took around 50 contacts to take a listing. So it improves, it gets better. It doesn't matter how many contacts it takes at the end of the day. It's just important that you know your numbers, because once you know your numbers, this whole sales process becomes very duplicatable. If you make X amount of contacts, you'll get a listing. So when you are looking at your income goal of how many listings you need to be taking per month to accomplish that income goal, you know exactly how many contacts you need to be making on a daily basis. And this is why having a great accountability partner, the right mentor, is so important, because these numbers, although simple, can sometimes be complicated, and it's helpful when you have a coach or mentor in your corner helping walk you through that. If you're a brand new agent, I would just start off with, hey, my goal is 200 contacts per week, no matter what. I know it sounds like a lot, but if your goal is to make a lot of money, you gotta take a lot of action, right? And if you're already selling houses and you don't have that much time to only lead generate, make it a minimum goal of 100 contacts per week. It's not that hard, especially when you're using a dialer. Like I said, 8 to 10 contacts per hour. So if you're calling 2 hours a day and you're making 10 contacts per hour, that's 20 contacts per day. That's 100 contacts per week if you're calling 5 days a week. This is your highest income producing activities, so don't skip it. And what ties all of this in is consistency. You would never go to the gym and expect to have, a great physique after 3 times to the gym or after going once a week for a couple years, right? Of course you wouldn't. And that's the same with real estate. You have to be consistent to have a great business. Sure, you can show up every once in a while, lead generate here and there and get a couple of sales, but you'll never be a top producer in your market. Well, that's it, guys. Those are the top 5 ways to make $100,000 a year as a real estate agent. So if you got value from this video, go ahead and subscribe by hitting the subscribe button, and also smash that like button. And if you have any questions that come up, feel free to leave those in the comments and I'll get in there and be answering those questions.